one. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CoffeeTime Podcast. And if you're new, welcome to Coffee Time. This is a podcast about absolutely nothing, but we do talk a little about everything, kinda. We go into
What?
depths about UFC fights, self help, a lot of politics because of Justine over here, and we drop a little philosophy in there. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, grab a cup of Joe, and let's get into it. What's up, buddy?
Where's your cup of Joe?
Dude, it's too late. Honestly, I got some water.
You go hydrate, homie.
I got some water, dude. Yeah, I'm about to be drinking for a while actually, starting in about an hour.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, it's gonna be good and everything like that. But how you been?
I've been good. Been celebrating my birthday week because I'm basic that way.
You're 28.
Yeah, 28,
You
bro. I'm
should
fucking
die
old.
already.
Yeah, I know. I just realized this the other day. I'm like, man, I've been in life for fucking 28 years. I could see how like old people are like, dude, I'm just fucking done already. Like, let me die. I could see that,
I
like think
I
about how
think
long you've lived and then double it.
I think that's the military in you because how the amount of stress that the military causes and it just ages you faster. But once you're out, I promise you, you're gonna be like, I have so much time. Like, you really understand what 2 weeks what you can do in 2 weeks. It's pretty great. So I think that's just the military talking.
All right.
And you have a fucking daughter, you have a
Yeah.
wife, you have to supply for them and everything like that. And trust me, I'm pretty sure you feel fulfilled in your manly duties and taking care of your family. But man, that shit's
Oh no, I
stressful.
hate their ass. I hate fuck that shit.
So man, it's been a little bit since I've been on the podcast. I don't think it's been that long though. Two
Yeah,
weeks.
it's only been like a week or two. Yeah, we kind of like decided to step back a little bit. I did make that one video not last Monday but the following, just kind of explaining everything to whoever watches. And we kind of just like left it at that cuz I wanted
Well, I
to.
haven't podcast since I've been back in Cali, so it's been about a month.
No, we podcasted over what was the last podcast we did? We did something I can't
Oh,
remember.
we did the Monday, the zero thing. We
Yeah,
reviewed
yeah.
that. Oh, okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and then we were supposed to look at Social Dilemma, but we never got to it.
I've seen Social Dilemma. It's just like it's stuff that if you really want to know. Okay, I can give you my review right now. If you want to know what social dilemma is, it's the shit that we talk about on this podcast all the time. What social media and the big media brains do to you. So just listen to Coffee Time. There you go.
Yeah.
Easy day. You see that? Reviews
Easy as
done.
that, yeah.
Reviews done. Oh, look at the pit stains there, bro. What is
Well,
going
okay.
on?
First off, I've been wearing this since I did a volunteer event earlier today. I did the base cleanup. So I haven't changed because I'm just fucking lazy. So don't judge me. It's hot as hell in the studio because I ain't got no ventilation.
It is pretty hot in there.
Yeah, I need to fix that. Like, I need to have something, but of course, my microphone's so cheap, it'll just pick up every noise. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna suffer for the audience.
Just suffer a little bit, okay? Just a little bit.
I mean, you
Dude,
got a full ass sauna in your
I
place.
do. It's right if I can point out it, it's right there. Yeah, one person sauna gets about 180 degrees in that hoe, and you just fucking melt. If I can, yeah, this is a better. It's right there, right there. Okay, but dude, I wanted to bring you on. Clearly, our audience have seen the support that you have for Trump,
Okay.
for Daddy Trump,
Yeah, yeah.
and you know how I view politics. I really don't care about him,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like I can, if I'm preparing my palate, my tongue for a coffee time podcast where we're gonna dive deep into political views and what's going on. Like, oh, that terrible podcast. Well, that great podcast that we shot that the audio corrupted about the Green New Deal. That
Oh
was
yeah.
wonderful, and it will never be heard. It's so upsetting. And hopefully this one's going well too, but we'll see. Like,
Yeah, we'll see. I
we'll
mean, if it
see.
doesn't release, I mean,
Right. But dude, for me an idiot like I'm looking at like how these states are going. There's so many battle states. I'm like I didn't know it was going to be this 50-50. Like I knew for a fact that the year 2020 was going to hurt Trump. I said this to a friend. I was like, if Corona didn't happen, and I'm pretty sure if Black Lives Matter movement still happened, I just think if Corona did not happen, he would win by a landslide because of the mass exodus of California infecting red states and turning them blue.
Mhm.
Arizona, Nevada, damn near Texas, bro. What
I
so
know, bro.
for our audience, can you please break down what the fuck is going on? Why is it November 6th, a Friday, and we're supposed to have a new president or a continuing president on Tuesday? What's going on? Break it
All
down.
right, so pretty much what was going on is the mail-in ballot thing has really messed a lot of things up. Now I understand, in this time of COVID, we want to be safe and everything like that, but Trump ahead of time was like, "Hey, if this happens, it's going to screw a lot of things up." I'm not even saying like fraudulent votes or whatever, because a lot of people don't believe that. Although there was outstanding evidence of it, videos, things with district attorneys, all these lawsuits that are now being filed. So that had to play a huge effect. Now, whenever it first started out with the election, I was paying very close attention because I, like many other Americans, thought, okay, you either by the end of the night, November 3rd, or early morning, November 4th, we'll find out who our president is going to be. But a strange thing happened. Like, some states were called way too early. Some states were never really called, even though it was like a high margin. Like, hey, this person's ahead, like by so much percent, and they're still not calling it, even though this and that. So the original battleground states were like, okay, they either had to win like Pennsylvania or like these other like Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever. But then the more time that was waited, and they said this, like, the more that we're gonna wait on these counts, the number of votes is going to skew. Like, it's a waiting game. I'm not gonna say like Democrats, whatever, but the party that did the mail-in ballots and all that shit, like it's just they played the waiting game and it worked in their benefit because they started seeing the numbers soar, and then all of a sudden these new ballots are found, these new numbers are coming in out of nowhere, and that's where we're seeing a lot of issues. Because let's say this was all a fair thing, whatever, we will have already gotten it, but because there's like, oh, how is it that in Wisconsin, like, the amount of registered voters is less than the amount of votes we received? Like, how is that even possible? And then
So
in Nevada, where it's like people that have died or moved out of the county or wherever are getting their votes counted. So it's a lot of issues going on. So that's why it's a lot longer. Like, in Georgia, they're going to have a recount. In Pennsylvania, they're going to have a recount. In Wisconsin, they're going to have a recount. So all this shit that's been going on with like all these conspiracy theories or whatever, like, even people on the other side, like, I know a lot of Democrats are even like, yo, like, what the hell is going on? Like, yeah, we don't like Trump, but at the same time, like, these numbers don't make sense. These things we're seeing are not right. Because let's say if the tables were flipped to where Trump was in the lead, because right now Biden's in the lead right now. But let's say Trump was in the lead and all these things were happening, the freaking Democrats would be going batshit crazy, rioting, all this stuff. But because it's a candidate that they have, it's not really being spoken out against.
you watch yourself when you say rioting, dude. I don't think
Well,
they'll be
oh, yeah, well,
rioting, but I
freaking
do
out. Let me say
believe
that.
they'll be freaking out
Yeah.
with with they a lot of people will be more pissed off. I would think so because it's just how polarizing Trump is. So, are we gonna know our president today on November 6th?
No, definitely not. Because the recount in Georgia alone is going to take a week.
A
So we're
week?
not gonna. Yeah, dude, we may not find out who our next president is until beginning of December.
That's insane.
And not only that, but think about it, because most likely this is going to go to the Senate. Because for those of you that don't really know, like, if you're not going to concede and then you're asking for these recounts and then putting up these lawsuits, eventually the vote will go to the Senate. And at that time, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not fair, this and that. But the thing is, like,
So explain
the
that. What does that mean? Go to the Senate.
so, going to the Senate. So pretty much, with all the lawsuits that have been filed and a lot of the fraudulent stuff that's been going on, if the recount comes back and then it shows like, hey, these people's votes don't count because they're either deceased or out of the county, all these things that would make a vote invalid get tossed out the window. Now, if it goes to the Senate pretty much will vote on who our next president is going to be.
Oh wow.
And right now, the Senate is majority Republican. So if it goes to the Senate, the presidency will go to Donald Trump.
So that's your assumption.
That's what will actually happen if it goes to the Senate. That because think about it, a Republican majority Senate is going to vote for a Republican because they don't want a Democrat to
Oh
run
yeah,
this.
it keeps them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's not the fact that it keeps them in
It's
power.
a
Like,
so. I thought Trump said he was going to take it to the Supreme Court. Is that the same as the Senate, or dude? I
no.
really know
So
nothing
right now,
about
Trump is wanting to just file the lawsuit to pretty much hold accountable, like what the hell's going on, like what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Pennsylvania, like how all of a sudden overnight there's like a large percentage of votes going just straight to Biden, yet Trump hasn't moved at all. Like, how does that really make sense? And then the fact that these votes came in after the posted day, or these votes are from people that are deceased, moved out of the country, different circumstances. So it's like, how are we not monitoring this? And they're not allowing like people to go in and check their shit. They're not allowing people to go into these places where they're counting the votes and to monitor, like to make sure they're doing it correctly. Because again, there's a lot of videos that have been surfacing of poll workers either filling in ballots, like they'll have 6 ballots and filling them out right then and there and counting those. And then people that are like looking at the votes, throwing them away, or like the Trump votes that were found at the outside the military installation that were going to be burned, shit like that.
Whoa.
So,
Yeah,
and
I've been reading a lot of stuff. I just, it's that struggle, man, of like, what do we believe in a way? Like, is this true? Is this
yeah, because
propaganda?
it's hard. It's honestly hard to believe the media right now. Like, even if you look at, let's say, Fox, like Fox Network has always been a conservative network. Trump has talked about it a lot, being a good network. But right now, they're showing that, oh, Biden's ahead by 260 something, counting Arizona. Yet Arizona hasn't been called yet. Like, they're even saying like it's still not called.
Hmm.
And even if these numbers, like, and another thing that I just found out today, even though these networks are calling these states, doesn't mean anything. They have to be certified. So there's a difference between calling a race and certifying the race. So everything can change as long as, things get officially certified.
So, what can we trust? So when I go to Google and it says like the polls, right? Like, if I do it right now, um, it says Biden has 264 electoral votes and Trump has 214. Can I
Mhm.
trust this?
No,
Like,
because different news networks, like
if I
if you
can
look at Fox
fuck.
compared to CNN, they're going to have different numbers because some networks aren't calling certain states. Like most networks are not calling Arizona at all. So Biden goes back down to those couple of points. So, and that is the scary thing. Like, what do we trust? And right now, you really can't trust anything. You can't trust these major networks. Like, that's why people are going to like a lot of YouTubers and like political people like that. Like, I know you really don't like them, but they've been going to like Steven Crowder, to Charlie Kirk, to Turning Point, Daily Wire, and some liberal ones too. Because right now, like whenever you even like go to Instagram or Twitter, a lot of these posts talking about voter fraud or whatever are just getting completely erased or hidden or banned or anything like that. If you're talking about that type of stuff, because
Hmm.
they're like, oh, it's false. So like you really can't get that information through these major media platforms because your facts don't match their facts, so they're gonna block you, so you can't share it. And it's just and it happened like during the election night and the day after, like people that were trying to live broadcast on Facebook were getting shut down. People on YouTube were getting shut down to where you had to pay for like a subscription to just view their content.
Something happened to your camera, bud.
Yeah. It does that. Remember the little timer?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The 30-minute timer.
Yeah. So, it's right now, like it's hard to trust anything. And that's what the sad thing is because everything's so politicized now to where there's no right answer right now. And we're not going to get the right answer right now. So it helps just to look at different news stations, kind of come up with your own like your own findings, like really research into voter fraud, research into these stories that have been coming out, looking at different news outlets. And even though like let's say like this was happening like to where Trump was ahead and all this was going on, even me as a conservative and a Trump supporter, I'd be calling like, hey, like look at this shit, like this is clearly not correct. Like, we need to fix this thing, because once you ruin it for one party, you ruin it for everyone, because then your vote really no longer matters. It's
Yeah.
going to be like, who do we want to win and how are we going to get those votes without even regarding you?
Hmm. So, where can we get the best information? Do you have a site? Where do you get your information at? Various
So,
sites or?
yeah, I look at various sites. Like, I've been skimming through Fox News, CNN, NBC, local podcasts like Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder. Even Joe Rogan was doing something for the election night as well. So looking at different people, and like they'll say, most of the YouTubers will like have a consistent thing, like, we're getting our data from all these different sources, from people that are on the scene. And a lot of those, like, because they don't make the money like major networks do, like they just go by, hey, you're viewing us, thanks for supporting us, we're going to be as unbiased as possible because we want to give you the correct, like with us, like, yes, I'm a Trump supporter or whatever, but the thing is, I'm still unbiased. Like, I'll tell you, hey, vote for whoever you want to vote for, whoever's going to best represent you. And I'm going to call bullshit on either candidate. Like, if Trump did some shit with the election, I'd call it like in a heartbeat. But, like, that's where you kind of had to like formulate your own opinions. And, even though this one candidate that you like is winning, you should still call like the unfairness, because in the future, your vote's not going to matter, essentially.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, as they say, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a very slippery slope, and like our democratic system is really in a state of trouble right now. So we need to like fight for these votes. Like everyone's saying, count every vote. Yeah, you should count every vote, but every vote that is actually legal, to where like they're not dead, they're not out of the country, this and that, like all these things that could discontinue a vote.
Yeah,
So it's gonna take a while, honestly. Like, I do not see this coming to an end anytime soon.
dude. If you're saying like probably next month, that's insane.
Yeah, and like that's why it's good that we elect the president in November and they don't get sworn in until January, because a lot of shit happens. Like, even like during 2016 when Trump won, there was a lot of behind the scenes shit, to where like, hey, we're still looking at these numbers to give an accurate reading. Like, the only reason why I continue is because Hillary Clinton did concede, but in this case, Trump's not going to concede. Like, he's not going to, because he sees what's going. He's like, I'm not going to concede to this shit. Like, no, we're going to keep counting this shit. We're going to file the lawsuits and make sure that even if Biden does win, it's on fair game.
Oh yeah,
Not
it's an
because
honest victory.
yeah, it's an honest victory. Because that's why he's like, oh, they don't want to turn over power. It's not that he doesn't want to turn over power. It's just he wants a fair election. If this was all fair, this shit would have been done with already, and we'd have a president.
Well, bro, this presidential election and how it's set out, like the timeline and everything, completely goes with the theme of the world of 2020, man. It's just incredible. I'm
Yeah.
sure, I know we said this on this podcast before, but the nations and countries around us are just like, this is the Tiger King of the world right now. We just can't get our shit together. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah,
so
and
crazy.
I hope, like, if Biden does win, I hope it is fair, because then we'll be like, what, our democracy is still intact. We did it the right way. We went through the right avenues. If Trump wins fairly, I only hope like people will see it that way too, instead of like, oh well, we won, but this, no, like, it has to be fair. Like, there's no way, like, if like my wife and my daughter voted, so that's 3 votes, and then all of a sudden like 10 votes come in later, like, how the fuck does that happen?
Oh, your daughter didn't vote. She's like
No,
4.
but what I'm
I
saying,
get
like,
you.
if 3 people voted but they're counting 20, like, how does that make sense?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I'm just kidding.
So
Shit.
I think it's just, we got to be patient right now. Like, everyone's like, well, Biden won. No one's won yet. Even if they hit that magic number of 270, no one's winning yet, because there's a lot more shit that's going to be happening, and I'm telling y'all now, it's going to be a while.
Well, damn. I guess that's a way to cut it off here. So, you're saying that we probably won't have a president until early December, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll get a final thing by early December, because in January there does have to be a transition of power. I think it's just gonna be a waiting game. Like, everyone's like, oh, in the next couple, no, it's gonna be longer,
So
and you just gotta be patient.
I'll put you on a hot seat. Who's winning this election?
I really do think that if it was fair, Trump would win.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, the way that the numbers were starting out before they stopped calling and stopped counting, Trump had the greatest chance because all he needed to win was the states where he was ahead, then Pennsylvania, and he would have won. But now that all this shit's happening, like, of course it is favoring Joe Biden. So it's anyone's guess, honestly. If it goes to the Senate, I'm sorry for the people out there that don't like Trump, but he's gonna get the vote from the Senate. That's just how it happens.
Damn. All right. Well, I'll end it with that. Guys, that was this week's coffee time. A bunch of political mess. We'll return, hopefully, with a fun, lighter episode. But if the world's this crazy, the world gets to vote on this podcast because, we talk about that hot podcast news. But until next time, please subscribe. Oh, God, my throat. I need to drink water. My bad, guys. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen to us on all podcast platforms. Good night. I'm about to choke. Bye bye. Say bye, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Stupid.